What it is, y'all, chapter 42 of Wistoria. You guys saw the title. If you haven't checked out the rest of them, make sure you check out the playlist. Let's jump in, because holy crap. Okay, so, last we checked in, last we heard from Will and the crew, basically he's joined the, unfortunately he's joined the Thunder, not the Ice Squad, but they are now all searching. They're kind of like spies, but they're also like basically trying to survive these first few days under the Magi's tenure. So we'll see what happens here. But Will has been just absolutely kind of brutalized by the Thunder faction. And Zio's up here like gloating over top of him after just absolutely beating the snot out of him, which isn't terribly surprising. Like, he's the highest level mage like out there, period. Like, at least in the Thunder faction. Like, crazy. And he's just kind of like, yeah, glad you were able to at least, somewhat keep up for a little bit. But Will has just been absolutely beaten down. And he's like, sparring with this dude is crazy. It's just impossible to keep up. And there's no time for me to really, like, go on this spy mission, right? Because they're trying to figure out who's the traitor, who's the person that's kind of behind all this stuff. And we will get a clue. We'll get a clue coming up soon. But everyone's just kind of, lamenting their position right now. Like, Will's getting beaten down. Poor Lihanna's back here just destitute. Like, she's really just having a rough time here. And we'll get, basically a whole bunch of her story in this one. We got Wignall's backstory. We've already pretty much gotten most of Julius's backstory. We got some of Sion's, like Sion versus Will, which is the most important part of Sion's backstory. And here we're going to get Lihanna's. And, we already know that she's from, like, this house of all these knights, like mages that are also knights. And she's just basically being treated, like, really poor here. Now, Will is in the showers. He's cleaning up. And he looks over and he happens to realize that Lihanna's standing right there. And he's like, what are you doing? This is the men's shower. Why are you here? What's going on? And old girl is just spaced completely out. Just like, she's just absolutely losing it. She's got no clue what's going on. And poor Will's like, okay, we need to get you out of here first things first. Like, and she happens to snap too, and she realizes, like, kind of sort of, at least a little bit, what's going on. Like, that facial expression right there is the best. She's kind of like coming to grips with, like, you're in the dude's showers. Probably should leave. Probably need to just, like, get on your way. And it doesn't take a whole lot of convincing. Like, they leave, and he's basically like, look, what's going on? And she's like, I am literally the worst person that's ever existed. And, I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration. Sion's, like, a few rooms down. But she's just like, no, I'm the worst. And she just starts going in, like, her family history. And she's like, do you ever notice how I have blue eyes? And he's like, so did Krista McAuliffe. And he's like, well, here's the thing. Or she goes, here's the thing. Blue eyes in my family are a mark of inferiority. All the good mages and all the good knights, they have yellow eyes. And she's like, I am essentially marked. I will never be good enough. And the only person in this whole world that has ever believed in me is my grandmother. That is it. And Grandma's over here being like the kindest soul ever. Like, just reading her books and making sure that, and she comes up with this tale, actually, where she says, okay, well, there was a knight with blue eyes once upon a time. His name is, like, Richie. And she's like, that's who I want to be. That is my goal. That is, anybody who remembers the Knights of Fianna story from Danmachi, essentially same thing, except blue eyes instead of red. And now, even in that situation with a curse. Nevertheless, I digress. Yeah, he's like, oh, you'll be a knight like Richie. You'll be good. And she's like, yeah, I don't know about all that. And she's like, I've just kind of gotten over the stories, and I've just kind of accepted my place. And she's just like having this horrible moment of self-loathing. And she happens to show him, like, this charm that she's got. And she's like, worst comes to worst, this is always a way out. Like, no matter how bad it gets, no matter what's going on, I can always rely on this thing. It is something that everybody in our family basically holds on to and is able to use. And in fact, when you were fighting the Great Grand Duke, if you had fallen in battle, this was my backup plan. This was it. And it seems like that's almost like she mentioned at the beginning of the story where she's like, hey, people in my family don't live very long. That might be one of the big reasons. I'm guessing that is like, plunge it deep into your flesh and go, well, we had a good run, and now I'm basically a living nuke. It's basically the way I'm taking that. But yeah, even Will's like, everybody around him now, he's starting to realize, like, they're all battling their own demons. They all have their own things going on. And he's like, well, hold on. Let's logic this out. Let's work on this together. Let's talk about it, right? He's like, when you're running, you're going 100%, right? When we're just doing our regular activities, you're going 100%. She's like, of course I am. Because that's, the expectation. He's like, no. Turn it down a notch. Reel it back in. And all this is coming from that training that Will had when he was talking Serdwin. And he's like, don't give 100%. Give like 80%. And then save that extra little percentage for when you really need to shine. And, yeah. Basically, he's just being her pep coach. And he's coming up with all these plans. And he essentially is basically taking the place of her grandmother now. He's like, I'll be your mental coach. I'll be here for you. I'll be rooting for you. I'll be your cheer squad. And old girl's she's like, okay, cool. Now I guess I've got something to live for. Awesome. And he's like, personally, I love your blue eyes. They sparkle like jewels. And she's like, I had a boyfriend that told me that once too. And he's like, awesome. Not what I'm interested in. I'm after Elfie. But you know what? My guy had a point. And so the next day, all these dudes are like, yeah, old girl can't keep up. She's the worst. And then she gets this little burst of speed. And now she's caught up with the big boys. And Will's like, yep. My girl, she's paying attention. She's learning. And everyone else is like, Happy learned how to putt. Okay, cool. Yeah. And you can see it in her eyes. Yesterday, she was defeated. She was beaten. She was broken down. Today, she's determined. And I like that. I like this kind of, like this is the Lihanna that when we first met her in the story, this is the Lihanna we knew. And they're all just kind of impressed by how she's able to, like turn all this around. And even Will mentioned earlier in the story, he's like, I don't think we're being tested on how we react. I think we're being tested on how we react once they've pushed us past our physical limits. And that's kind of something we noticed in the last chapter as well. But this dude here is like, you guys are good, but you're not great. And even if you are great, you could be better. And that's what we're here to do, is to basically unlock your full potential. We don't have Dende. We can't just tap you on the head and go, I guess that was Guru, wasn't it? Tap you on the head and go, cool, your potential's unlocked. We don't have an old man that can touch you and is, you know what? We're not going to finish that sentence. But what we can do, on the other hand, is break you as a human being. And you see what's happened here. She has bounced back. She's absolutely going all out. And 3 days pass. 3 days later, it's right there. And you can see she's beaten down, but she's at least standing up. And she was not standing up at the beginning of this chapter, and I love it. But essentially what winds up happening is they go on a shopping spree, and they run into this crazy mofo. And this dude's like, Will, I need you to come back to my lab. Just come and hang out for a little bit. I'll make you some tea. I'll cut you open. I'll tinker with your internal organs. And Will's like, excuse me, what? Then it'll be all right. It'll be a nice little permanent nap. No big deal. Dude is a complete psychopath. And I love that his partner's just like, dude, we gotta leave. Like, look, you have said too much. You said the quiet part out loud. We are gone. And Will and Lihanna are like, that guy has got a problem. Now, I'm looking at this like, you guys are supposed to be doing like the spy thing here, right? You're looking for like the cracks in the foundation, right? Maybe that's one of them. I'm just saying, dude is dark. Dude has got problems. Dude is a menace, and he's not even hiding it. But they seem to just kind of move on their way. And what we kind of get here is they meet up with Julius, and Julius is like, yeah, I'm out on a shopping spree as well. Things aren't going well in the Ice faction. We kind of get the impression that Elfie's just kind of been down in the dumps ever since Will joined the other faction. And Will's just happy-go-lucky about this. And poor Julius just looks beaten down now. Poor Julius is just, he's not enjoying his time. He's just not having a good time. And yeah, there's a little back and forth here about Julius potentially becoming the successor. And we know that that's probably not going to be the case. But we fast forward a little bit to this tavern. This tavern's very familiar. And essentially everybody's kind of meeting here. And if you remember, Wignall being an elf and this tavern being run by dwarves, it doesn't go well. Wignall's not cool with it. Julius got in trouble here. And even the tavern keeper's like, you know what? Show up all you like. Pay your bills. No hard feelings, right? Any friend of Will's is a friend of mine. And poor Wignall's just like, he's not feeling it, right? He's still got that elvish pride, and it is what it is. And Ciel's just kind of chilling, and Lihanna's just unfazed by it all. But they're kind of having this round table, and the whole time they're like, where's Julius? Like, Julius is late. We just saw Julius earlier. Where could he possibly be? And what they're trying to do is they're trying to basically meet in a neutral place where they know that the spies are less likely to be apparent. And we're actually mad. I said it last chapter when we were 2 chapters, I think, when we were interested to Mike and Emma, where these two show up and we find out that they're also looking at their perspective, basically the factions that they've joined. And Emma's like joined the Wind faction, and the Wind faction's like, we finally have maybe eventually a Magia, which I kind of thought the Elven queen was the Wind Magia, but I guess not. I guess they kind of refer to hers as illusion magic or whatever. But I guess they're trying to see her as the new Magia, and then the other dude just like, yeah, I belong to the Dark faction. The Dark faction is scary, and then everyone's just kind of like, but where is Julius? It's been hours. Where is he? Where could Julius be? You see, right here, the Dark faction is just a bunch of. I love it. He's just a bunch of nerds. Literally, it seems like it's these dudes in cloaks playing D&D in the basement. And they kind of talk about like Headless here, and you know, if he's working with Goetia, what is their plan? Why are they trying to take down the False Sky? You know, if they do that, things are not going to end well. But they keep coming back to this whole thing. But where the hell is Julius? Julius is late. Where could he possibly be? Where could Julius... He's not having a good time. Julius does not look like he's going to make it to the next chapter. And I want to emphasize, for example, when we were watching the series, when we were watching the episodes, this chapter had not yet been released. This chapter was a chapter from October, I want to say. Maybe September. I don't know. It doesn't matter. That's a kick in the pants, man. And he's just there on the street. Like, this is dirty. Like, he clearly knows something. But he's just been dealt with. Oh, so brutal, man. I enjoyed Julius. I didn't like him, but I enjoyed his presence. And the fact that he's kind of had this, like, whole character arc. I really hope they do something for him. And we've seen people come back from this, but this is bad. This is not good, y'all. That is where the chapter ends. We'll pick up on Sunday with chapter 43. I believe 44 is current, I think. So hopefully we get another chapter soon. But for now, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys again real soon for more Wistoria.